Undoubtedly, the topic of cost of living has saturated public discourse in recent years after COVID-19. Although the World Health Organization declared an end to the pandemic close to a year ago, this issue still remains rife, if not a growing concern. An area that has seen a rise in cost is rent, with private rental prices in the UK increasing by 6.1% from the start of 2023 to the start of 2024. In fact, a quick search on Zoopla reveals that the average rent prices in the UK for February is £1,220 per month, a steep 8.3% increase from last year. Just recently, local authorities have also warned of a difficult but necessary rise in council tax, with many planning to raise it by the maximum amount of 4.99%. The accumulation of all these policies and the current economic climate will no doubt intensify the burden of living costs for many living in the UK. Thus, IBT Times UK is out on the streets of London to find out what people think about cost of living and whether a rise of rent prices is a big concern. So what are your opinions about the cost of living in London?
I think that you can just see that it's going up year by year. Like, you pop into Tesco Express to just try and buy some soup and some bread, and it's like you may as well have gone out for a meal, but that meal in the restaurant is again double the price. So it just means that our wages aren't going up at the same rate that everything else is. So at the end of the month, there's just kind of nothing left, and you're just surviving from month to month rather than being able to do anything extra, which is not a great way to live, I guess.
And is there a particular area that's a big concern to you, like groceries or accommodation, bills, going out?
Yeah, I think bills are really hard, like heating, my water bill, my electricity bill. Just I'm having to think about not putting it on, and how cold can I let my house be before I put the heating on, just to try and keep the bills at a reasonable level, and that's just not something I expected I'd be having to do.
Well, I think it's gone a bit too far. I mean, most people I know nowadays are paying £700, £800 a month. Me and my girlfriend are going to be living together next year, which is going to help a lot more, but still we're both paying $650 each, and that's cheap. It just means that most of your wages you get from your job is just immediately more than half of mine is just taken, and then you have to work other jobs just to get ends meet, and that it's insane.
So the current rent you pay, do you think it's reasonable? Do you think it's sustainable? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I really don't think it's sustainable. I think that at the moment it's so high that you can't really have a proper life outside of work then, because you're constantly working. I reckon it's going to eventually just get to a point where landlords are just going to ask for way too much, and it's just going to implode. Yeah.
And if you're comfortable, do you mind saying what you work as?
I work as a barista and also as an usher. That's where I just came from. But I'm literally working loads at the moment, and it's just getting ends meet.
I think it's crazy. It's going up very fast. I've seen food in supermarkets go up week by week. It's just quite hard to keep up sometimes, especially from student finance. What do you think?
I feel as a student living in London, it's quite difficult to afford a food shop every week, or even just to go out, because everything's so expensive. Even the places that are supposed to be budget supermarkets or restaurants end up being more expensive than they ever were before.
And recently there's been a steep rise in the rent prices in London. Is this a big area of concern for you guys?
Definitely. I think we're in that process of looking for accommodation next year, and it's quite stressful having to find accommodation, especially my university's in central London, and the thought of having to find a place in central London to live or nearby is quite scary, thinking about how much it would cost, let alone on limited student finance.
Yeah, because the alternative is maybe getting a place but having to commute for a long time, maybe an hour plus, just so you can afford somewhere to stay. It's a bit of a hard decision to make sometimes, isn't it, would you say?
So what are your opinions on the cost of living in London?
It's very expensive, and it's not really affordable for most people.
And are you concerned by the rise in rent prices?
Yeah, very. I had to move house recently in August, and it was a rented property because my previous landlord sold the property, and I was just in queues of people trying to get a room to rent, basically.
And do you think your current rent price, is it affordable, is it sustainable, reasonable?
For now, yes. When I moved house previously, when it was double, it was increased by double. But at the moment, I can, in the situation where I'm able to afford it. But if it went any higher, I don't think I could.
And in terms of like overall cost of living, is there one particular area that's a major concern, like groceries, transport, bills, rent?
Yeah, food. I'm definitely noticing increase in food prices, and I like to live quite a healthy lifestyle, and like even fresh fruit and vegetables is just becoming more expensive.